Welcome back, everyone. With kids out of school and the COVID crisis, working parents are looking for some help to take care of their kids, and a lot of them turn to professional services that pair them with nannies and babysitters.
Yeah, these parents, they need some help. But tonight, our chief investigative reporter, Morgan Lowe, has a warning. Don't assume that these companies do their due diligence on the people you are going to trust with your own children.
I tell people that we hit the jackpot with this one. I mean, it was like meeting Mrs. Doubtfire.
She said to me, when you've been a pediatric NICU nurse, you are used to dealing with tremendous pressure, tremendous stress, and I've always remained even keel.
Melissa and Kevin Lang were thrilled when they found a nanny that appeared to fit the needs of their young and growing family.
We have a newborn on the way in a couple of months, and we have two other kids. And clearly she's watched many kids at the same time, but the fact that she's a pediatric nurse, I mean, bingo.
They found her on sittercity.com, a website that says it's focused on trust and safety with a trusted community, screening tools, and safety measures.
If they had run a simple background check on her, they would have seen that she's not a pediatric nurse. She used to be, but her license was revoked.
Home surveillance video showed the Langs a painful story of what happened while they were away and their children were in the care of a nanny with red flags in her past. Melissa and Kevin both work and were looking for a full-time nanny to help with their young children. That's when they found Jacqueline Edens on the website sittercity.com. She said she was a nurse, and during a week of supervised visits with the kids, she seemed perfect.
She carried herself very well. She was extremely professional.
But after the first day alone with their children, the Langs discovered all was not as it appeared online. The house was a mess, and that was just the beginning.
When I got home, both my boys were crying. My youngest, Evan, was hysterically crying and shaking. He was quivering. And as I got closer, I noticed what looked like rug burns all over his face and cuts.
I could hear the kids in the background screaming, crying, and Melissa just said, "You need to come home right now."
And when I asked her to tell me what happened, she kind of picked her head up like this, could barely hold her head up, and her eyes were completely out of it.
I said, "How did this happen to Evan's face? His face is beat up. What happened?" "Oh, he was trying to do a cartwheel and fell on his face." I said, "Jacqueline, he's 14 months old at the time, or 15 months old. A 15-month-old can't push herself up and do a cartwheel." She would never give me a straight answer.
When Kevin looked at video from his home security camera, he got his answer.
This is really difficult for me to talk about. Melissa still hasn't seen the video, and I don't want her to see the video.
It shows Edens and the children in the driveway. Here is what Kevin says Jacqueline did.
Grabs him, picks him up by one arm, and with just one arm, flings him in the air. So he's airborne in the air. And I have security footage, I have pictures, still frames, everything. And she just throws him into the garage.
The Langs called the police. Detectives investigated, and police documents show they recommended one charge of child abuse. As of now, Edens has not been charged. Turns out Jacqueline Edens' nursing license had been revoked in November. The nursing board paperwork says she exhibited signs of impaired behavior while on duty. The Phoenix police report says she failed to show up for work for her previous employer and had issues with alcohol.
The website didn't pick up on that. And that's what blows me away.
We tried to track down Edens. We found her car and I left my business card. She told police she fainted and hit her head the day of the incident, and that the toddler had fallen down while trying to pick up a toy fire truck. Sitter City told us all caregiver identities are authenticated. They screen caregivers against a sex offender database. The company offers the ability for families and caregivers to purchase background checks and motor vehicle records checks. It is uncertain if any of those tools would have found the red flags in Jacqueline Edens' past.
They can say whatever they want to, and they will say that they don't have responsibility. In my opinion, they do have responsibility.
Grant Woods is the former Arizona Attorney General. He is representing the Langs, although no lawsuit is filed at this time. Woods says online companies have a history of claiming they just connect people or they're just technology companies. he doesn't buy it.
You can't have your business model be online, that we're going to take your money and you're going to think that we're providing you people who are qualified, and then when something bad happens, just say, oh, well, we don't have a responsibility for that. We didn't know. How would we know? We can't vet everybody. You can't have it both ways.
For the Langs, the nightmare didn't end with the one day they say Jacqueline Edens was on the job.
Something was unresolved in her. She kept coming back, and so my family was in jeopardy. So we hired 24/7 security guards.
Do you feel safe now?
Not 100%, no. She lives about 5 minutes away, unfortunately.
About a month after this happened, the Langs say that friends of theirs contacted them and said that they were thinking of hiring their former nanny. They say that the friends said they found the nanny on that same Sitter City website. Now, Sitter City tells us that could not have happened. They said they removed her as soon as they heard of what had happened out of an abundance of precautions. Scene, Heather, back to you guys.
This story, Morgan, is so upsetting. What are parents supposed to do? I don't think that a lot of them would even know where to begin when it comes to doing their own background checks.
Yeah, this is really tough because this company and companies like it, they say they're really not responsible for doing more than just authenticating who the person is. Yes, you're Morgan Lowe, but we're not looking really into your background. They say it's the responsibility of the employers to do that. They just put the two parties together. So, a couple pieces of advice. Look at that resume, double check every line of the resume, and the most important thing, references, references, references. But even a background check isn't going to find if you were arrested for something but not prosecuted. And I'm not sure that a background check would even find the fact that you lost your nurse's license.
Yeah, and Morgan, like you said inside your story, that the company offered parents the ability to purchase background checks. So they're not doing these background checks, just to be clear.
Yeah, they say some of the people, there are background checks done. Others are just authenticated, but they made it clear in their statement to me that they just put the parties together. It is really up to the buyer. It is up to the employer to do that real vetting. And I'm not sure that all of the parents out there really understand that.
Well, it's a good thing that they did have surveillance video. As horrible as it is to see what happened, at least the parents know the truth about what happened to their child. And it's just awful. Thank you so much for that report.